Welcome back to Mind Over Movies. I'm Isaac.
And I'm Casey.
And we are making a habit of introducing ourselves now. So isn't that a fun new addition to the podcast? If you're a
Hell
new
yeah.
listener, you get to know who we are.
All
Fantastic.
the time.
And you'll get to know our salacious hot takes today, or we'll see what that counts as. But, if you haven't been with us before, we usually like to talk about what we've seen first, kind of have some foreplay to the grander movie discussion. So, Casey, might I ask, what have you seen lately?
What have I seen lately? Well, let me tell you. I started off the year with a little film called Blazing Saddles.
Oh, shit. I watched Young Frankenstein. What are the fucking odds?
Wow. Okay. Hell yeah. I'd never seen Blazing Saddles before, and it's quite hilarious. I really enjoyed it. It went a little hard on the edgy stuff, but honestly, I don't think it dilutes it any. It's still a pretty good comedy. And fucking what's his name, Gene Wilder, is like just peak comedy, and the guy who plays the main character Bart.
It was supposed to be Richard Pryor, I think, but then it was this other guy.
Yeah, Cleavon Little.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
he was good.
This was like controversial back then, that he was, even though it was a comedy, that he was a black cowboy in this movie. Which, I mean, I know in the movie they still talk about him being a black cowboy. And that,
right.
Yeah, I love the Madeline Kahn bit. I'm tired of being admired.
Yeah, there's so many good like bits in here. Like I don't know. I never feel like a scene drags for too long, which is the problem with most modern comedies. Is that they keep a bit going for too long, and I don't really remember being bothered by that in this movie. And I gotta say, when it pans up to the Warner Brothers lot at the end, when they're fighting, that shit had me rolling. It was great.
Yeah, and all the different sets they did. That shit's brilliant. I think that's the strength of all Mel Brooks movies, is like, you've got a decent bit of story in there, to just hold everything together, but it's just supremely silly, like all just balls to the wall kind of humor. And I mean, some of it hasn't aged well. Like I can think of Blazing Saddles, like some examples just are like blatantly sexist or blatantly racist now. I mean, I felt that way about Young Frankenstein. There's a bit in there that just felt like rapey, but like most of it is just so good. And, clearly it was pretty exceptional at the time in terms of being progressive. So it's like, you gotta remember where we came from, and like, that style of joke. That wasn't like, it was actually better than a lot of shit out there. But Mel Brooks is great. So I'm so glad that you finally got to see Blazing Saddles. Did it make you want to watch the Samurai Dog movie that came out last year that's based on it?
I didn't know that. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my God, the terrible looking Michael Cera Samurai Dog movie that has all those celebrities in it. Apparently, it's an adaptation of Blazing Saddles. It's an animated remake.
Interesting.
I know. All of the trailers for that looked really bad. You should look it up. It's Michael Cera and Samuel L. Jackson. All these people. The animation looks like it's from like 2015, so maybe it's been in development hell for a while.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. I know. It's kind of cursed.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah. It makes me want to watch more Mel Brooks movies, I can tell you that.
Oh, hell yeah. If you watch any, I mean, Producers for sure. Have you seen that yet?
I haven't. I've been told about the Producers for as long as I've been alive, but
you've got two great versions to go off of. Oh, and High Anxiety, you'd fuck with that. That's like a Hitchcock parody movie.
Oh, okay.
And it is supremely silly as well. One that I watched that I wanted to come on here and rave about, but because of the nature of this week, which has been a supremely shitty week for looking up to people. I watched This Place Rules.
I did as well.
I really enjoyed it, and it was the night before Andrew Callaghan, the host of this documentary feature, had sexual assault allegations brought against him, and so it really upset me because I was so ready to gush about this movie on Letterboxd and on here, and so I guess what I want to say instead is like, man, fuck Andrew Callaghan, and that's all I'm giving this movie. I'm not gonna recommend it. I'm not gonna talk about it. There's just too much. There's too many people coming forward, and it sounds like a pattern of behavior that he's gotten away with for a really long time. And I unless we had a trigger warning at the top of the episode, I wouldn't really want to dive into the specifics of these allegations. But fuck this guy, for real. Don't watch this movie, even though it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's really good.
I know.
Yeah. Did you used to watch his Channel 5 stuff?
I had seen like TikToks of his best stuff, and I really, it's like gonzo journalism. Like, I really fuck with the style of interviewing people. I really enjoy this style, and it made sense that Eric Warheim and Tim Heidecker produced it. This feels up their alley. It was funny. It felt. Yeah, no, I don't want to fucking gush on it right now, though. But
yeah, for sure,
it is very unique, and I like it.
Yeah, his YouTube channel, Channel 5, which used to be called something else, I can't remember, but my friend Thad, he's been on the podcast before. He would come over and we would watch Channel 5 a lot, and that's how I knew of Andrew. And then when this documentary came out, I was like, yo, let's watch this. So I watched it with Thad, and we were like, yeah, dude, this thing's awesome. And then literally probably 2 to 3 days later, I think it was, they came out, and I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me, because I just thought this dude was so cool for the longest time. And then in even more recent news this week, yesterday, it came out of Justin Roiland, co-creator of Rick and Morty and Solar Opposites, has been charged for domestic abuse for battery. So that's fucking awesome, I guess. So
I'm like, how did we miss this? Like, apparently this incident happened in 2020. I guess they've been doing a really good job kind of keeping this under covers. I mean, in that situation, it's a Jane Doe, someone who hasn't wanted their name to come forward, and I can't blame them. This is something the internet is bound to not have very nuanced takes about, and also this shit just hurts. I really, man, like Justin Roiland, like, I know that he's a very easy target for internet backlash these days because his bit, he does the rambling voice, and he improvises, and he goes on and on and on. Like that High on Life game just came out, and I think that was everyone's takeaway, is like, this style of humor has outstayed its welcome, and maybe it has. But unrelated from that, like, his work has clearly resonated with a lot of people, and this shit sucks to see that someone who is so prominent in the current culture and making some of the more exciting adult animation out there is a piece of shit, presumably. And I mean, I don't know, it may be when this goes to trial there will be evidence clearing his name, but like, I definitely am of the mind that we should believe whoever has come forward. I mean, it sounds like it's pretty serious, like a restraining order was filed against him. It just sucks, man. And the same goddamn week. I know. And I was talking, I'm going to shout Thad out again, but I was talking with Thad after the Andrew Callaghan stuff happened, and he was like, there's like fewer and fewer like male role models that aren't pieces of shit for people, and for like men specifically. And I've just been thinking about that a lot, and about how especially a lot of younger people that are exposed to Andrew and Justin's stuff, it's just really fucking disappointing and depressing to think about. And
I don't know. Since the Justin stuff came out, I saw on Twitter a couple people. This one person on Twitter was like, "It's kind of an open secret that Justin Roiland's a creep in the animation industry," and I'm glad this is getting out. And I'm just like, if it was an open secret, wouldn't we have known about it literally 10 fucking years ago when he got famous? Like, I'm not understanding that part of it. Again, I know things get covered up, but again, he's huge. And for that charge to be in 2020, I don't know. I don't, it's crazy that we never heard anything about it, which is even more, I guess what I'm trying to say, it's the shock is even more, like hard hitting, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it's out of nowhere, seemingly.
I think there's just a lot of nuance that we don't understand yet here. Like, I think in his case, unless we see other people step forward or, see evidence to the contrary that he's been acting like this for a while, it may just have been that, he's a creepy guy, but, has never done anything explicitly like illegal before. And I mean, I hate to say it, but like, you look at the people that are running Rick and Morty. I mean, Dan Harmon himself also came against some sexual misconduct, not just allegations, like shit he admitted to on the set of Community and had to apologize to another writer who had worked with him on that show for his behavior on that set. Like, I don't want to pretend to have the answers to these sorts of situations, but like, I think what the recurring or the takeaway from these situations coming up over and over again is that it is incredibly easy to slip into a pattern of behavior like this if you're a man and get plenty of second chances. Like Andrew Callahan, that's the big thing that I learned from looking at the people that have come forward, is that this happened before with him. Like, he was ousted from his New Orleans talk show because he had done this before. And even though people knew about it, and even though people had spoken their truth in those circles, the internet's a big place. And, it didn't crack the mainstream. Clearly, those people didn't, go off and warn any and all future crews away from Andrew. He got a second chance, and I think maybe this happens more often than we think. These people do some shit shady behind the scenes or some creep shit, and because they're young, promising men, they're given the pardon, more often than not. And even now, even as these allegations are coming to the internet, I mean, we're going to see plenty of defenders. I already have seen people who just don't seem to care the nature of these crimes. They're making fucking Rick and Morty jokes in the comment, oh, he should go to another dimension where this didn't happen or where these charges aren't true. It's like, come on. Like, this is real. This is serious. Like, you can't just deflect to your fucking like cartoon internet logic all the time. I don't know. I'm disappointed too, but I feel like we got to do something other than just have our defense mechanism of being like, oh, fuck, again? How does this keep happening? And then not having a discussion about how it happened at all, or, why it keeps happening. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah,
anyway, weird soapbox. No, not weird.
Yeah, definitely a soapbox, but I feel like it's good to talk about it, but yeah, I mean, depressing shit. So
that soul crushing shit. Do you want to talk about some shit that like makes you feel hope for the future, or at least the future of recent incoming cinema?
Yeah, let's do it. I know. Here's a little teaser for all you people. We are going to talk about one other movie that we both saw that we have differing opinions on. I'm sure you know what it is, but we're going to talk about that at the end because we're going to get into spoilers. But for now, we want to talk about our most anticipated films of 2023. So come take a dive into the future with us.
Okay. Let's jump into something I'm pretty sure we both have on our horizons as an object of market interest, and that would have to be a movie whose trailer came out this year. Would you like to say the title?
Is it Barbie?
No, I was gonna say Beau is Afraid.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, I'm so sorry. There's been like 5 trailer drops, and
Oh, true. I didn't remember Barbie had a trailer drop this week. That's sick. Okay, I
oh,
might
you
have
said
to look that up.
this week. I'm stupid. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, Barbie's trailer dropped like a month ago, I think, almost. But
Yeah, but that was also sick with the 2001. We'll talk about that
yeah,
too, or we can
definitely.
talk about it now.
I mean, hey, let's talk about Beau is Afraid first, and then we'll go to the other B movie, Barbie.
Hell yeah, BB.
Hell yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
Beau is
excited.
Afraid. Fuck, I'm just like, I don't know what it's gonna be about from the trailer, and that's great. I mean, vague idea about it, like visiting his mom, but some crazy visuals at some point. Like, damn, Ari Aster, I feel like is about to knock it out of the park a third time in a row.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the fucking the descriptor on Letterbox for this is described as a zonky nightmare comedy. It's like that's it. That's all we're getting to know what it's about. And the other you have to guess from the trailer, which doesn't like give away that much either. And I'm really excited. Some of the set pieces that I saw in the trailer just looked fantastic, and I know Ari Aster has been getting the film Twitter hate treatment recently, and
What?
I don't
What's up with
understand why.
that?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand why people can't just fucking like things, and like re-examining is fine. It's okay. But the things they're saying about him are just so utterly fucking untrue, and they anger me. I'm like, dude, no, he's a fucking fantastic filmmaker. Hereditary and Midsummer are both good movies, in my opinion. Like, you might not like them, but like, I don't know, the re-examination of him recently, I think it's been in tandem with people just like dunking on A24. It really is like a hipster like movement. I think anytime something becomes popular, they just have to shit on it, and that's exactly what they're doing with A24's brand of filmmaking, and apparently Ari Aster as well. But like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I watched this trailer and I'm like, who would not be at least interested to see this? You know, it looks fun as hell.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, if you're advocating for like weirder, original, fucking like
Yes.
longer, independently produced movies, I mean, why are we so quick to shit on this? I mean,
I know.
this probably does have a higher budget than like a lot of other things coming out, but that doesn't give people like the go ahead to just shit on it. Like, it doesn't have to be a sellout. Like, go check it out. Like, see it first. I mean, Christ. Or I
Exactly.
mean, and in the case of Midsummer and Hereditary, I mean, I don't know. I feel like you can be a hater sometimes, and it's like valid. Like, I feel like if there's something that just really doesn't resonate with you, and you have, some deeply, insightful criticism to give about it, like, sure, go ahead and spew your hater energy, and let's like learn some shit together. Like, I think plenty of video essays are, haters who are coming to a very cool conclusion about how art can be better. But it feels like half the shit on film Twitter I see is just like people who aren't satisfied with having something that might be construed as a mainstream opinion, and needing to like shift their worldview around every couple of years to be like, oh, that thing that I was raving about a couple of years ago, I fucking hate it now because everyone else likes it. Oh, too many sorority girls have Midsummer tattoos because they like Florence Pugh. Like, oh, it was my thing, but now it's their thing. It's just like gatekeepy and entitled, I feel like.
Yeah, it is definitely. It's exactly. I, I think you hit it right on you hit the nail on the head just now when you said people shift their worldview around to kind of to be contrarian, and I think that's so stupid and what's the word I'm looking for? Unproductive. That's the word, right?
Maybe.
Yeah,
I fuck with it.
Yeah, it's not productive to do that. Like what you like, hate what you hate. What the fuck ever, move on. I don't, this looks interesting. Everybody, complains and moans and pisses their pants about Marvel. So go out and see things that aren't Marvel, that are written originally, and, have a vision. Just give it a shot, I mean, I understand if it's, you watch the trailer and it's just not your cup of tea. It's whatever. As soon as the trailer dropped, everybody on Twitter was just like, had their own shitty fucking opinion, and it just made me mad. But I'm excited for this movie, and can't wait to see it.
Yeah, dude, me too. What is another movie that you're thinking about?
I'm thinking about another movie that starts with B. That would happen to be Barbie.
Boppenheimer.
Yeah, Boppenheimer. I hope.
Barbie.
Listen,
oh my god. Oh, yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. I was going to say, I'm not going to say Oppenheimer is one of my most anticipated movies. No, actually, I am. You know what? I'll save that. That's a whole rant. Anyway, Barbie. Yes, I am excited. The trailer didn't fully win me over. I thought it was a little weird, but the 2001 references, I was like, that's an odd way to take this. But Greta Gerwig has never steered me wrong, and Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling have never really steered me wrong, if you don't count Amsterdam. So, yeah, I'm excited.
I didn't know you had watched Amsterdam. I'd love to know your thoughts in a whole episode sometime. But yeah, I just rewatched Little Women the other day, so I'm like fucking getting back on the Greta Gerwig hype train. I mean, I've been on it for a while. I have a lot of trust in this director as a writer, especially. Greta Gerwig has never really let me down, so I don't know. I don't know what this movie is going to be like per se, but the genre meshing in the trailer alone has got me interested at the very least.
Yeah, for sure.
That could be hype.
It could. I think it is going to be hype. A lot of people are expecting huge box office for this film, which I've recently gotten into. Like, I'm a box office nerd now, apparently. That's one of my new personality traits.
Love it.
Yeah. I don't think it'll pull in the money they're thinking it is, but I think this is going to be a huge, huge opening. I really do. And I wish it success, because I love Miss Gerwig. And by the way, I have not watched Amsterdam. I did not want to watch a film made by that awful fucking shithead director.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Is David O. Russell like problematic?
Oh yeah. Yeah, he is. Apparently he's also been accused of SA many times. Yeah, I know. Which it's crazy, because I love Silver Linings. I love American Hustle. I haven't seen The Fighter yet, but when Amsterdam came out, I saw everybody talking about it, and I'd heard whispers of him not being a swell human before, but when Amsterdam came out, I saw like an influx of people, and the box office and people's just shitting on it kind of was exemplary of that. And I saw clips of it, and it's oh my god, it's awful. It's so bad. I don't know. I think he's a good director, but that, I don't know what the fuck that was. But apparently shit human. So.
It looked like a recording of like a play almost, but like a bad play. Like every actor is giving their like worst performance in recent memory in just the 1 minute clips that I've been seeing. Like,
yeah, definitely.
I mean, obviously not a lot of people saw Amsterdam. I don't have any incentive to go see it. No one has recommended it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just happy to let that one die its silent death in a vacuum.
Yeah, it's a nothing movie, so it's whatever.
Yeah.
But what's another film you were looking forward to
this year? I am very much looking forward to the next Wes Anderson movie, Asteroid City. I don't know anything about it, but this is maybe an opinion not shared by a lot of people, but I really fucked with The French Dispatch. I thought that was a lot more interesting and back on track than Isle of Dogs was for Mr. Anderson. So I don't know. I'm just intrigued to see what's next. And yeah, since we don't have a trailer or even really that great of a plot synopsis, I'm just kind of trusting the man to deliver the goods.
Yeah, the cast looks great. Have you seen the cast?
I've seen snippets of it. I think Owen Wilson is going to be in Asteroid City again. I remember there were some announcements that I was like, shit, they're going to be in it, but I don't remember because this is the nature of Wes Anderson movies. It's hard to remember every famous person in them.
Yeah, definitely. Let me read off a few of these names here because I'm flabbergasted. So Margot Robbie, this is her decade apparently. Tom Hanks.
Wow.
Yeah, Rupert Friend. It's spelled Friend, but I'm sure it's pronounced Friend. Maya Hawke, Jeffrey Wright, Scarlett Johansson, Liev Schreiber, Tilda Swinton, Jeff Goldblum, Bryan Cranston, Jason Schwartzman, Willem Dafoe, Steve Carell, Adrian Brody, Tony Revolori, Matt Dillon, Sophia Lillis, Hope Davis, Steve Park. See, I don't know these. Edward Norton.
Nice.
And that's all the ones I know. But yeah, that's stacked as fuck.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm so hype.
I am also now hype.
Yeah, let's see what that's all about, huh? Let's fucking consume that soon.
Let's do it.
What's another movie you're excited for, my guy?
I'm gonna go ahead and say that I am really, really, really excited for the new Indiana Jones film. Yeah. A few key reasons why, because some people may scratch their head at it. I don't know what the general consensus on the new Indy movie is as of right now, but a few things. Harrison Ford returning to close out the series as himself, or as not as himself, but as Indiana Jones. I'm glad they're not recasting or any stupid shit like that. James Mangold is directing of Logan, Walk the Line, 3:10 to Yuma fame. I love James Mangold's filmmaking. I think he's great. And the trailer that dropped is magnificent. I think it's going to be a good fucking time. And as for my box office prediction of this, it's going to be big. It's going to be pretty fucking big, I think, and I'm excited.
It's going to earn a quartillion.
Yes, it's going to earn Indiana-alien. It's an Indialien. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, this looks good. I mean, it just feels special to be getting another Indiana Jones movie. I mean, a lot of people are probably like, "Oh, what the fuck? Don't we have a sour taste in our mouth from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull?"
Yeah, we do.
And I mean, maybe. I don't know. I haven't seen it in a while, and honestly, in my head, it's still like an okay movie, like in my head canon.
It's pretty good up until the end, I would say.
Okay. So I'll probably rewatch all of them before 5 comes out. It's just nice that they haven't like oversaturated Indiana Jones.
Yeah, it is.
In intervening years, you know, like it doesn't feel like Star Wars at all, where it's like, oh, whatever, another Star Wars thing. You know, there's still some childlike joy instilled in me from seeing Harrison Ford and hearing that music.
Absolutely. Yeah, Indiana Jones had a huge impact on my upbringing. Those are some of the films I watched over and over and over again. And blanking on the name. Oh, Last Crusade is one of my favorite films of all time. So I don't know. It's maybe a little bit of bias coming from me, but I'm really excited.
Nah, I don't think that's bias, man. I agree. This one, it's one of the good ones, baby. It's one of the good franchise films coming out next year.
Let's go.
And speaking, which we can be wrapping up this anticipated section to get to to the other event if you want to, but
Yeah, I really only have one more
remiss.
film.
Okay, I have a couple I could mention, but I think the one that I've been thinking about bringing up for a while is Dune Part 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a good year to be getting some Villeneuve.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. I'm
Denny.
excited. Some good old Denny. I didn't think I would be that excited, but the more I think about Dune and the more people on Twitter share screen grabs and like small clips, I'm like, damn, I need to rewatch it because I think I'll like it a little bit more on rewatch. Because I remember just being like, yeah, it was good when I watched it, but everybody else was like, over the moon about it. But I'm interested to see how the story wraps up in this one. I know he wants to do more, but I think this one's going to be fucking huge in scale and spectacular. And so I'm excited. And you, having read the book, I can only imagine.
Yeah, I'm pretty hype. I'm thinking like the second half of the Dune book, like maybe it was because I didn't have an on-screen like reference point outside of the David Lynch movie. I'm worried about that territory, but so far we've assembled a fucking incredible cast to join the sequel, and I mean that hardly mentions the incredible cast that will be returning from part 1. I just really do hope Denis gets to do his planned trilogy of Dune movies, because I think some of the more interesting aspects of this story of Paul Atreides would come to light later. I don't think they could fit in all of the shit in this next movie. So I think, you got to finish the first book in this next one. And I'm excited to see that happen. Like, there's a lot of cool shit that I'm like, how does that look? And Denis is the man that I trust to have a really great visual language for how it all feels and plays. Like, all the stuff in the first movie, I'm like, damn, I wouldn't have ever thought it looked that good. I couldn't have imagined that. I just love the scale that he brings to Dune. Everything's just so epic in scope. And I hope that continues in part 2.
Yeah, same. I'm excited. I'm very excited.
That movie, more than Avatar, I would want to spend like 3-hour travelogue on Arrakis. And I know it seems boring, but it's the worms. They do something for me.
The worms are pretty fucking cool, I will say.
Yeah, he'll say it. He'll say it. He'll come out and say it.
I'll come out and say it when nobody else will. I think so. The last movie I want to shout out, I'm having a really hard time. There's like a couple. I'll quickly mention. I am excited for Oppenheimer. I'm excited to see where Nolan goes. I'm a Nolan fanboy, I have to admit. And I'm excited to see him take a Dunkirk approach. Tell a tale of history. Because Dunkirk was amazing and really scaled down, I think, and I think Oppenheimer will be good for that. And another film that I'm really excited for that I'll quickly mention is Knock at the Cabin, Shyamalan's new film. It comes out next month, actually.
Right. That feels so soon. That feels very soon.
I'm very excited. I know it's based on a book, and people that have read the book says it's a really good book. But I have no idea what it's about. Well, I know from the trailers, but I have no idea what the book entails, and so I'm kind of going in blind here. I have stayed away from watching any more trailers, and I don't know. It looks like it's just going to be, a good, fun story. Well, maybe not fun. It seems dark, but I'm excited because it's Shyamalan, and I really enjoyed Old and pretty much the rest of his filmography that I've seen. So.
Hell yeah. And Killers of the Flower Moon coming out later this year.
Yes. I almost forgot about that. Yeah. It was supposed to come out last year, but it's coming out this year. You know what? I'm bumping that. That's my most anticipated film of the year is Killers of the Flower Moon. Yeah.
He's been cooking a while. You know that shit's going to be good.
Let him cook, for God's sake. My man is...
Hold up.
Yeah. Hold up. Let him cook. Yeah. I'm gonna move that to most anticipated. And I'll quickly shout out Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part One.
Oh fuck! I forgot that's this year.
Yeah, dude, I've been waiting on this film a hot minute. I think that thing is gonna smack. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. A proper Mission Impossible rewatch is in order because
Definitely.
I mean these last few have been surprisingly serialized. Like I've been like, damn, recurring elements. What the fuck?
Yeah, right. Yeah. And I will say, when I rewatched the Mission Impossible movies, I skipped the second one, and that's no offense to John Woo, but it's too much. It's like Mission Impossible 2 is when you let John Woo go full John Woo, and it's quite hokey, and I don't think it fits the vibe of the rest. But 3 is amazing and really set the tone for the rest of the films, and yeah, I love them all.
Yeah, I definitely share your sentiments about 2. That is just not my cup of tea in that franchise. So I think I'll rewatch it maybe for the completionist in me to feel satisfied. Like, it's been a while since I've seen all the early entries anyway. I remember really loving 3, but now I've kind of become more disillusioned with the work of J.J. Abrams, and especially realizing fucking Alex Kurtzman wrote it. It kind of gives me a new reason to want to hate it. I fucking hate that guy.
Okay.
Fuck Alex Kurtzman. Do you know what Alex Kurtzman has written, Casey?
I don't know.
He's written Transformers, Revenge of the Fallen. He's written the fucking Star Trek reboots, and especially the new shows that are stinkers like Picard. He's written fucking just any bad revival of a nerdy franchise you can think of. Alex Kurtzman probably fucked it up.
Yeah.
He's probably one of the screenwriters. So fuck that guy.
He's responsible.
Yeah. So if you're listening, Mr. Kurtzman, that's my unendorsement.
You heard it here first, folks. Well, did you have any more that you wanted to shout out before we get into our spicy topic?
I will just lightly mention a few. Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves looks really fun.
Yes.
I'm very excited to see if it turns out to be like a great time or if it's bland. But right now it looks fun.
Definitely.
Super Mario, I'm kind of in the same place here. I just have a lot of nostalgia for Mario games and still love them. So it looks cooler than a lot of other video game movies coming out in the sense that it's actually using sound effects and music from fucking Mario and having elements of the game on screen. Like, okay, let's see if some magic happens. And then, Across the Spider-Verse, I think, is one of the most anticipated superhero movie I have coming out this year because I just really fuck with Into the Spider-Verse. I mean, yeah, people on the internet can wear you down on a film like Into the Spider-Verse, but like this animation is just fucking incredible. I think it's like pretty much what I would love all comic book movies to kind of look like. I mean, I think it especially fits the tone of these movies. And this just looks like a great expansion of things that were set up in the first one. So I can't wait. Yeah.
I'm not as eager about it as other people are, but I will still watch it because I still really liked the first Spider-Verse. So, yeah.
Hell yeah.
I could definitely see the hype.
Well then, Casey, should we get to the other course of this meal?
Let's do it. Let's take a little dive in.
So, we recently had a discussion about our top films of the year, and there was a film that topped your list that I had not seen yet, and it was one of my most anticipated movies of the year because Damien Chazelle, who is the writer and director of the new film Babylon. Yeah, so Damien Chazelle has directed some of my favorite movies of the past decade, Whiplash being one of my favorites of all time, La La Land being really solid. I never saw First Man, still haven't.
It's good.
Maybe I'm not a real fan, but I would like to see it. So going into this, I was really ready to feel something about it. I mean, it obviously got mixed reviews, and I did not like it. Did not fuck with Babylon, very much. And that is a shame. And I would love to have a spoiler discussion with you. But first, I guess I will give a spoiler-free thoughts section just in case people want to hear that before we get into
for sure
the nitty-gritty. But Babylon for me, which, I mean, feel free to say contrary points because I'm not trying to have a debate. I'm just more like, we have different opinions probably about this.
Yeah.
But Babylon to me felt like it was harmed from its own excess, excess being a theme of the movie, but yet the director also just kind of bloating the runtime to a length that did not fit the material on the page. It feeling kind of like a repeat of recent genre movies from the past couple years, and most famously Boogie Nights, kind of having those vibes, while not ever really feeling like a direct ripoff of anything, not really feeling like it added much. And then one of the things that I didn't expect to rub me the wrong way as much as it did, but just some shock value shit, some low-hanging fruit comedic in the comedic scenes, as well as in some of the dramatic scenes. It just felt like, to me, a college screenplay writer, screenplay. Yes, that is the term I'm looking for. Screenplay writer, screenwriter. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Just taking their best crack at making an edgy, or what they consider edgy, take on old Hollywood, and trying to have their cake both ways with movies being magic. And yeah, I thought it was a big sloppy mess. I think it could have trimmed about an hour and maybe felt like it had more to say. But at the same time, I feel like aside from the really great performances and the really great score by Justin Hurwitz, as well as some very effective sequences that do occur. I mean, like from a production standpoint, you really should realize that Mr. Chazelle is going to bring his all. Like, he is just fucking... I mean, that's the thing. It's like, I admire this man so much, so I take no pleasure in saying this, but I really think he went awry with Babylon, and I would love to talk more in depth about it, but I think that would require a good deal of spoilers for the movie. So, unless you have some spoiler-free thoughts you would like to mention now, I think maybe we give a warning.
Let's give a warning, because I pretty much gave my spoiler-free thoughts on our last episode of our top 10 of 2022. Go check out that episode if you haven't. So let's just get into the spoilers and the nitty-gritty of this thing, because I've been dying to talk about it.
Yeah, so I knew Babylon was going to be a movie that I felt some type of way about from about the moment, which of course every reviewer is probably bringing this up, but from about the moment where an elephant shits on a man and the camera, just goes ahead and goes right to the butthole of the elephant and really stretches that out. And it's like, okay, like, I get what we're doing here. Like, the 20s is a glamorous time in the eyes of the American public, especially when looking back, we like to think of these people who lived back then as sophisticated. Even the parties in The Great Gatsby, we kind of have a Lerman sensibility about it. They were epic, but they were also very bougie. There was no tomfoolery of any kind going on. So I can appreciate a movie that is trying to unpack some of that ugliness that existed in this era. But just as it progressed, I mean, just a few minutes later, you have another scene where a woman is peeing on a man, and he's like, oh, it tickles. And, you can tell that it's kind of in the same vein as the elephant thing. There's a lot of orgy imagery going on at this party. I mean, it fits that sexual fantasy thing going on. But I think what I would say about the humor of this movie and these elements of it is it's not load-bearing. At no point did it feel like the shock value humor ever really one-upped itself from where it started in the movie. So that felt kind of tired quickly. And then on top of that, it never felt like it was very relevant to the story Damien Chazelle wanted to tell, which, in my opinion, while it might seem like nuance, the magic of Hollywood juxtaposed with the debauchery of these big giant parties, to me, it felt more like a director who wasn't fucking sure what kind of movie he wanted to make about movies, you know? And I don't blame him. There's already been plenty of movies about movies. And the fact that Babylon feels confused, I think probably owes itself to the fact that it is ginormous. You know, this movie ends with a fucking 10-minute clip show of Avatar and The Matrix and Jurassic Park. Other better movies that you could be seeing. I don't know. I don't want to say better because that sounds objective. And something that I respect about this movie right now is that it is finding a crowd that really fucks with it. Obviously, you really fuck with it too. And honestly, I kind of reading the room on the internet, I feel like maybe my opinion is more so of the critics this time around and not really the average audience member who might go to this movie and find plenty of laughs to be had. I don't know. So it's frustrating because there's so much to appreciate too. And I don't want to dismiss this as like a bad movie, but it's the kind of movie that just left such a bad taste in my mouth that I was like, well, when I consider the whole of the experience, I don't fuck with it. If I think about which scenes I want to watch on YouTube later, like the brilliant scene between Gene Smart and Brad Pitt talking about his career and the future of film. I mean, yeah, there's plenty of great stuff in there, but something I mentioned in my Letterboxd review is because the movie is so long, because it always feels like it's going for the low-hanging fruit, it starts fucking repeating itself too, you know? There's like 10 different scenes where someone says something like, let's go do something nuts, and everyone's like, woo, or we just did the movie thing, woo, I don't know how to read a room, woo. I don't know, man. I want to hear your thoughts about it so we can just unpack it together, because I feel like I'll just ramble dislike of it, and I want to hear some positive shit because I like to steer things more positive when it comes
for sure
to people I like making movies.
Yeah, I hear everything you're saying. I don't want to say like I disagree with you completely. I just see it in a totally different way. And maybe I can say this fluently, not fluidly, but the excess part of it, I think what I like about this movie so much is that, you know, I think you're not wrong in saying he's confused in what kind of a movie about movies he wants to make. That's very apparent that it is confused, but I don't see it to its detriment. I think it's for the better. I think he does have a thesis, and I think his thesis is that, you know, maybe as tired and true as it is that cinema itself, as film as an art form, we've always been told from the outside and from the inside that it's dying, and that it's going to die because of this. It's going to, first it was sound, which sound was, a lot of people still debate that sound was the actual death of the art form as they knew it. It took away so much about what film was at the time that, especially, Soviet filmmakers were like, what the fuck is this? This is, this is the medium is trashed now. But then we had other filmmakers that came in and, revolutionized sound within film. And so people were like, maybe then it's not dead. It's still alive. And then World War II happened. And I know Babylon doesn't get into World War II. I'm just kind of tracing history here because the film is very insistent on history. And after World War II, the European markets and the American market for film was complete and utter trash. Like, it had to build itself back up again, even though people went to the movies during World War II to help out the war effort because they felt it was their patriotic duty, and the Office of War Information in coordinates with Hollywood at the time was that we're going to make pictures that are, about, patriotism and doing your part and yada, yada, yada. And so it was booming. But after the war, they struggled getting on their feet because the economy, so sorry, I'm tripping over my words, was so goddamn trashed, that it could have been, nobody really knows how Hollywood survived past that, but they did. And then when color was introduced, Technicolor was a new thing that people were also skeptical of because 3-strip Technicolor film was fucking expensive. And they're like, and people were getting uninterested in black and white films. And so they were like, well, we've got to spend the money to get these films in color. And, since then, with CGI, 3D, it's all happening. And these conversations are always happening about the death of it. And I think Chazelle is saying, no, it's not the death. It is a death, but it's a rebirth that is constantly going. And the form is it's always evolving, which is why the movies are how they are. It's an evolving art form that will always be here, and it can't really die unless people just quit. People just die. The world ends. Film ends. Like, it's an art form that you can twist in a bunch of different ways. And Tobey Maguire's character in that whole sequence, which I know a lot of people take an issue with, but I don't have any issue with it at all because it further solidifies his idea that this medium can be twisted into whatever you want it to be. As we see, he's saying this guy should be in the movies, and the guy's like, biting the rat's head off in like the 7th circle of hell. It's the evisceration of what they know as art and what they know as a spectacle, and it's contorted into this horrifying thing. And even then, it's all part of it. People view this, in different ways. And I think a lot of the, shifting over to the excess part that you were talking about, yeah, it's excessive. He may have been trying a little bit too hard. But I mean, I think the second half of the movie is a lot more deflated than the first half. And I think he goes so hard to really juxtapose those time periods when sound comes and the studio system has to do a complete 180 in how it operates in production. And there's so many tragic fucking, stories about actors, directors, and screenwriters, producers from the 20s Hollywood shifting into sound in the 30s and 40s and just completely being forgotten. Michael Curtiz, the director of Casablanca, White Christmas, Mildred Pierce, he thrived in the studio system. As he got older and films where audiences, what they were wanting were changing, he didn't have as much success. He's still revered as one of the greatest filmmakers ever, but his story is not unlike a lot of other stories where the form adapts and adapts and adapts and changes and changes and changes, and people get left in the dust with it. And Brad Pitt's character, Margot Robbie's character, all these characters are actually based on real people. The guy that gets peed on at the beginning, the big guy, and the the girl who was having sex with him, she's like, presumably dead on the floor. That really happened. That's Hollywood's very first debacle. Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle was accused of murder. He didn't murder them. It was an overdose. But that was the first, I guess, peer into what was going on in Hollywood at that time from the outside looking in, and seeing the, Babylonian, type chaos that was happening. And, I went on quite a ramble there, but hopefully that made sense. And I think to wrap up what I'm saying here at the end, the 10-minute clip show, I've seen a lot of people say, they're like, oh, this just reminded me I should go watch Terminator, or I should go watch Avatar, and yada, yada, yada. But I think it really takes some real cojones for Chazelle to do that, because it is inevitable that people are going to mention that, and that people are going to say, why the fuck? Because he probably knows they're much better movies, than his films that he's displaying. But he's putting his own pride aside and really asking people to look at what all the movies that happened since sort of the end of Babylon, since those characters met their end, and just kind of brings it full circle into, this is what the cinema is. It will never be a thing of the past. It's just changing, and it's I think the trailers and even the title a little bit. I think the title's brilliant, I think a lot of it was to just bring people in to see it. I mean, it didn't work, obviously, but I think his message is a little bit deeper and nuanced than, people shit and piss on each other and they get drunk, and that's how movies are made. And, I don't know. There's a lot more I could go into, but what do you think about all of that I just said?
I think that, yeah, absolutely, like Damien Chazelle's like admiration for the people that trailblazed in this industry, which has been through so many metamorphoses and changes. I think that is absolute. Sorry, I had something in my throat while I started talking. That is absolutely apparent from this movie, but I don't think that this movie, for me, earns my like seal of approval just for having interesting tidbits about cinema history. And the shame is that it's not even really the first movie to cover these periods of transition that it's talking about. I mean, obviously, a film like Singin' in the Rain is much more tame than Babylon, and maybe, one would argue there's less opportunities to get into the drama and the real grounded aspects of the world, of the lives of these people that were behind these characters. But what rubbed me the wrong way about Babylon is that it is a movie that is entirely trying too hard to tell you how to feel about its events going on screen. I think that all of the three major characters, Manny, Margot Robbie's character, I can't remember her name, or Brad Pitt's, oh gosh, sorry.
Jack and Nellie.
Jack and Nellie. I think they all feel like archetypes to me rather than characters. And, that might be intentional. Like, they're supposed to represent people that have come through this industry and the sacrifices that they go through and they make are similar thematically to Whiplash and La La Land. I can see how this maybe is even cohesive in this artist's struggling and giving it all up to make art trilogy that Chazelle's got going on here. But I think the weak link here is Babylon, because while La La Land and Whiplash have compelling characters and compelling scenes that you observe as an audience member and you feel how you feel. With Whiplash, I think what's so great about that movie is at the end, you, the viewer, are deciding, like, was it worth it? Was that pain and torment for this fucking incredible drum solo worth everything that came before? And it doesn't spoon feed you anything. I feel like what the most disappointing thing about Babylon is is that often its characters don't do character things. They are used as tools to get across what Damien Chazelle wants you to be feeling about the scene. And nowhere is that more prevalent than Manny. For like the whole middle portion of the movie, before he makes his rise to producer role, and even after he makes that rise, he is absent from the plot other than to stand off screen and ever so slightly be the focus of a scene with his mouth agape, his jaw dropped. Cinema just happened before Manny. That's crazy. Oh my gosh, he's opening his mouth wide with surprise again. Oh, he's doing it again. Something crazy is going on with Margot Robbie on the set. Oh, there's some crazy thing going on with the party. And it wouldn't be so bad except all of the lines and all of the blocking and all of the crowd reactions like woo or ah ha 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 ha. It gives off the vibe of trying entirely too hard to make a contemporary audience find authentic coolness with the way that movies used to be made. And I think that's what feels to me, why it feels to me that the beginning is not some authentic attempt to juxtapose the debauchery and craziness of Hollywood with the later half of the movie. It feels like a 19-year-old guy being like, it's pretty crazy how they used to make movies, right? It's pretty, they're through some pretty wild parties, you know, like, whoa. And I can appreciate these aspects of cinema history that have been adapted, but I don't think it's especially clever to have been through a cinema history course and then write a movie borrowing elements from the coolest things you learned about. Like, whoa, it's so neat. Which it is so neat that they used to make movies right next to each other, all you know, sound stages just plopped right there together because there was no sound. You didn't have to worry about any kind of overlap like that. Like, wow, that's a neat tidbit. It's not especially in the movie's favor that it includes this detail. I think it's what you do with that matters. And to me, the emotional manipulation that I felt was on display, even in the ending, you know, you can't trust the audience to feel some type of way about what they're seeing. You have to show, oh my gosh, Manny's crying, and oh, remember all those emotional clips that happened 10 minutes ago, like 10 minutes ago when they just got recorded for their, like, when they were pretending to get married, or 20 minutes ago. Fuck, I don't know. Time became a construct while watching Babylon. And maybe that's the thing, is by the end of it, it just felt so already like it overstayed its welcome with me. Like, by the time it flashed to the 1950s, I was like, I have completely, like, fallen overboard with this movie. I don't think that there's anything else for me that could hook me back in. And I'm sorry, but the Technicolor display of, oh, the clips from the movie earlier, but in the green and blue and red, so it makes color if you put all those frames together. Like, yeah, if you're a film buff, oh, that's a cool detail. Like, yeah, not everyone's gonna know, like, that's how color was made back in the day, like putting those 3 frames on top of each other. But, like, what does it add? In my opinion, not much. You know, that clip show doesn't really do anything for me because it feels like something you would see on YouTube cobbled together. I think that's the problem, is at every turn, he doesn't trust the audience to walk away with the point he's trying to make. He has to really try and send it. And I like your sentiment that it's about, like, the rebirth of cinema. And I mean, I agree that's what he's going for, but I don't think that this was a particularly effective way to convey that theme. You know, I feel like you had better stuff in the movie already, and I think that's my ultimate problem with Babylon. It's like you cut around it. You know, maybe there's a pretty solid movie in there. I think you still have a character problem. I think you still have, again, I just don't agree with the humor of this movie. I didn't find any of the comedic sequences particularly funny, even though they were zany. You know, I get it. Like, Snake biting Margot Robbie in the neck. Like, oh, that's crazy. Whoa, she wants to fight a snake. Like, it all feels like I said in my Letterboxd review, I'll repeat it here, it feels like he's trying to write the perfect trailer moment, and God knows this movie needed a perfect trailer moment because no one came out to see it, and that hurts too. Like, it's like, fuck. I wish that more people had seen this movie, because clearly there's an interesting conversation to be had about it, and it's a shame that it will probably just be a piece that film buffs debate. But yeah, that's some of what I think.
Yeah. Well, okay, I entirely disagree that what you said about it's including like that he took a cinema history course and then just imagining that the movie can carry that. I don't think he's expecting the movie to carry those like little bits and pieces of history to carry it. That's not what I think at all. And moreover, I think they're just there, they're there obviously because it's not a biopic, but it's real history, of course. So you have to have real history, and it's just that film buffs will notice it. But I don't think that he expected it to carry the movie at all. I think it actually is doing something for the story to get across his point. Like for the emotional manipulation, I guess is the right word to use, that you're talking about with like him forcing the audience what to feel. I mean, I didn't see that at all. Like that's what every movie does. Like whether you realize it or not. Like I can't honestly say that, or I can honestly say that the same scenes in here had me thinking just as much as Whiplash did. I mean, I don't know. I think the film is more nuanced than people give it credit for. I don't think it's a college student writing shock humor, shock value at all. I don't see what's any different with the excess of this movie than the excess of Scorsese's Wolf of Wall Street or Thomas Anderson's Boogie Nights, as people have been comparing it to. I don't see them the same at all. They operate sort of the same with their frantic style of editing and the camera work, but this movie is saying something completely different, and I think it's operating completely different aside from how it's like shot and edited. I don't know. I
Sorry.
Sorry, no, I was just gonna say I just disagree. But I don't really know where to. I don't know. You said a lot, and I'm having trouble kind of reconnecting the thoughts. But what were you gonna say?
I wanted to bring up. You mentioned Wolf of Wall Street and Boogie Nights. I'm glad you do, because I didn't want to make comparisons yet. But I think that the reason that people are bringing those movies up is that this movie clearly is taking some influence from those movies. I think the party scenes are definitely, using Wolf of Wall Street as a reference point for visual language. The craziness, like even like Jonah Hill's prosthetic penis in that movie, like that's the kind of shit that you would probably end up seeing in Babylon. And then also, I mean, Boogie Nights, that act structure, even the vignette style storytelling, although I think that, Babylon is a little bit more vignette driven than Boogie Nights is, although, all the side characters have their own little side plots. I think the reason that people bring up those movies and bring them up to bash on this movie is those are tighter, more consistent movies, or at least in my opinion. I think that Boogie Nights knows what it needs to accomplish in its runtime. I think that the year jumps, for example, that are so incredible in Boogie Nights, I think that by the fifth one in Babylon, you're just like disillusioned with it. It's like, okay, I guess we have a lot of ground to cover. I guess we're in the 50s now. It's not nearly as jaw-dropping, in my opinion, and it feels unfocused in a sense that it's trying to be so many different types of movies, and that's not a bad thing per se, but for me as a viewer experiencing this movie in its full runtime, it felt all over the place, and it felt like it. I was just checking my watch a bunch in the last hour, especially when Tobey Maguire showed up. Like, the sad thing is it's a pretty good performance he's giving. And clearly Tobey Maguire felt a lot of faith in this project. He's a producer on it. And, by that point, they have already made plenty of arguments about cinema and the people in it being like twisted. It just doesn't feel like it really adds anything to the plot that we've seen. And the only way it tangentially affects the plot is the hitman that shows up at the end and fucks shit up and says, get the fuck out of town, And so I think that's the thing is the screenplay could have been tightened up. There's so much fluff that could have been cut. And that's what I see it as, honestly, is fluff. And I know you'll disagree, but...
Yeah, because I don't think it's a movie that needs to be tight. Like, you can make the same argument for Wolf of Wall Street. I mean, that movie has a lot of fluff, but nobody minds because it's so goddamn entertaining. And I know you
that character is just so much more interesting. I mean, I feel like we get to know Jordan Belfort a lot better than we get to know any of these characters. I'm not saying you have to know a character to enjoy their movie, but after a while, you at least hope there are some more compelling traits brought up.
I think Babylon doesn't have to have characters that are compelling for me to enjoy. I think the questions that Chazelle posits in each of his sequences are infinitely more interesting than if Margot Robbie or Brad Pitt's character were to have more depth, which I believe they have depth, and their depth is fine. I do agree with you a little bit on Diego Calva's performance. He's not given a lot to work with, but I mean, could I offer maybe a reading of his character as an audience member? Maybe there's lots of movies that make their protagonist a voyeurist, intended to, be seen as an audience member as they're watching, and maybe that's why he's not. He does witness a lot of it. He has sort of the same expression like the audience is supposed to have, just kind of like, maybe staring in awe, maybe like what the fuck just happened. A lot of those. But I think. I think what drives me to this movie is not actually the pillars of Hollywood style filmmaking or just filmmaking in general, which is a tight screenplay with characters that drive the story that you follow, with an okay runtime. The runtime didn't bother me, but like those tenets of faith in film are obviously not applying here, and therefore I'm viewing it completely differently. And I don't need those things to understand what he's getting at here, and to understand, or at least my understanding of it. At least I'm not going to say I understand it, nobody else does. I'm saying my understanding of it. I don't need those things. I think. Like a great example is when they're shooting the war scene, how the camera moves from like the viewfinder in the camera showing what's on screen and then up, and then we're seeing it. I don't know, that type of language, visual language for that scene at the climax of that scene is just, to me, it has so many layers of what you can, of like, what do you think about this? I mean, like, what do you think about this? And what I'm trying to say is there's multiple answers for that. And, it's all dependent on, what you view the movie as. And I think if you view the movie, if you're trying to just compare it to other 3-hour bombastic epics, I don't think it doesn't hold. Obviously it's not going to hold up as well. Yeah, Boogie Nights is more, tightly structured, but I still think that the structure of this is not to its detriment. I think it's its own thing. It works in its own way. And the Tobey Maguire stuff, I got up to go pee, and I stopped when Tobey Maguire was on screen, and I sat there. I stood because we were the only ones in my theater. So I stood like at the aisle for like 5 minutes, and then I had to go sit back down, and I watched like from there the rest of the film because it was just so I was entranced with the dark turn that it took there, and I think that was needed. I don't think we saw like there's like a darkness to the film with all the deaths and people that like died like making films, which Chazelle is obviously aware of. I think he said in an interview he kind of got the idea for Babylon reading about how many people died back then. But, that is nothing compared to what we get in Tobey Maguire's sequence, where it's the literal bastardization of art itself into something, much, much worse. And how that, kind of involves how cinema changes from then. And I really, really like that reading of it. And I don't know. I guess we viewed it very oppositely.
Yeah. I think I just don't agree with I feel like you're giving him too much credit. I also just was not riveted by the same stuff that seems to have caught your eye. I mean, there were brilliant sequences in the movie. Like, yeah, I'm thinking about the score matching up with like the camera reel and the way the shot, they nail it. And, that was a time where I felt the movie didn't have to like try and tell me how to feel like, oh, there was triumph. There was something miraculous about everything, every element coinciding to make this perfect moment on the screen. Like that, there are sequences in this movie that absolutely effectively communicate Chazelle's point, but I just have to go back to defaulting. I don't even think it's from comparing it to 3-hour epics that are like it. I think basally, I just don't fuck with this movie, and I don't enjoy its sense of humor. I don't particularly care for its dramatic subplots, and I don't know. I can appreciate what Chazelle was going for and not really care for his final product. And I want to clarify that I am in no way saying that I've lost faith in this man to make a great movie, or that, what he made here isn't worth, the time of day. Like, just the fact that there is such a range of opinions between us, I'm feeling like, what other writer director could make something like Babylon, which usually if something I find really abhorrent like this comes out, most people agree with me. So, it's like, it's kind of a refreshing change of pace to be on the other side of the fence and be like, okay, what are people seeing? I mean, and to its credit, I was thinking about Babylon, 2-3 days out, thinking about certain scenes that worked. And I didn't mean to sound like I was completely dissing on Manny, because, there are some moments in the film that really hit with me, even if the emotional beat wasn't. Like his delivery of like the "Ti amo, ti amo, ti amo," like that shit was heartbreaking. Like this guy carries himself really well with these heavyweight actors that have been around for years, and I really enjoyed his performance. Like, I think that from a production standpoint and from a visual language standpoint, cool fucking shit going on here. I'm not gonna lie, the screenplay and the runtime just kind of take me out of it, as well as the general feeling for me anyway that we're trying too hard, and also trying too hard to be edgy. I mean, give me a fucking movie about Lee Jun Lee's character in the middle of it all, the party singer, the gender fluid person. Like, I felt like she was given such short shrift in the script, and that's the thing, is like there are elements of the script that captivate me that I feel like are completely glossed over, because the movie, even though it has so much time to tell its story, it really wants to try and get all of it in there. And I think that's just the thing, is for me, Babylon might be too ambitious for its own good. And I know that a film doesn't necessarily have to be tight to be good, but in this case, I feel like we could have reassessed some of the elements and fine-tuned them, because I feel like a lot of good shit gets left behind in the dirt, in the dust, for shit I quite frankly did not vibe with. But I'm glad that you loved it. I'm glad that it has an audience. It would be a real sad moment if this movie came out and bombed as spectacularly as it did and didn't get any love.
Yeah.
Then, what's going to drive Damien Chazelle to make the next fucking great motion picture I know that he's got in him, So I absolutely want to see people outpour their love for this, and maybe I will, not talk as negatively about it in the future, because in general I do appreciate what it's trying to say about cinema's importance and where it's come from. But for me, yeah, I'll probably be watching Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or Singing in the Rain if I want to recount this period and reflect on cinema's roots, or maybe just watch a documentary with some interesting real life characters that maybe inspired this movie. So, I mean, that's just my take on it, and I really enjoy your read on it. I don't myself give the screenplay that much credit, but I can respect it.
For sure. I'm glad. Yeah. I don't think I give the man too much credit, because he gave us Whiplash and La La Land. I just can't get over that. So maybe I do, but I don't know. It's just been straight bangers from him, for me at least. But I'm glad we could have this spicy little debate. And like you, I'm also excited for whatever he does next, and interested to see if he still goes big, or if he goes with like a quieter film. Like if he keeps up the pattern, Whiplash was a smaller film. La La Land it swung for the fences, and then First Man was a little bit also quieter of a film. I know you haven't seen it yet, but it's about the space race, but at the same time it's a very smaller story focused on one character. And then Babylon is another swing for the fences. So maybe his next film he does something a little bit more grounded, quieter,
There'll be
shorter.
some jazz in it.
Yeah, there will be some jazz for sure.
So, I mean, yeah, maybe this is my first L, but
Maybe so.
That was a good discussion to have, and
Yeah.
I will continue mulling over Babylon for days to come, and maybe one day you'll sucker me into rewatching it, and I'll come at you with the revised opinion.
Yeah,
we'll see.
We'll do a Redux review next year.
I'm okay if I'm wrong, but right now it feels so right.
Sam, go ahead and make an L shirt for Isaac, with his first L being. No. I still
my
plan on
one
ordering
L
that.
pin compared to your Boy Scouts
Yeah.
merit badge complete vest.
I have a huge L shirt at this point. And I really took the L on The Green Knight, now thinking about it now, and thinking about how much praise that movie still gets to this day.
Yeah, at least
God.
Babylon's mixed,
Yeah, no, but The Green Knight was just like all fucking hallelujah to the mountains, and
we're all
I don't know.
gaslighting you. We're all
Yeah.
lying to you about our opinion, just to make you feel crazy.
Crazy shit, man, crazy shit. That's a movie that did you give The Green Knight 5 stars?
No, honestly, I only even though it was my favorite movie of last year, it was
Oh, you gave 4.5.
Or I mean, 2021, 4.5 stars. But I did give 3 movies this year 5 stars, and so I think I would ultimately say 2022 was maybe a bit of a better year for movies for me. Although I'm sad that our 5-star overlap didn't quite fully match up there.
Yeah. What were your 5 stars, by the way?
Decision to Leave, Banshees of Inisherin, and Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Gotcha. Yeah. I only gave one film 5 stars this year. Not to say it was a bad year. I think this is a pretty damn good year for films. I'm getting conservative with my 5 stars. That's literally all it is. But I gave 4.5 stars to 4 films this year, which was Decision to Leave, Bodies, 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 The Northman, and We're All Going to the World's Fair. So,
wow,
good year.
Nice. Okay, well, that's strong recommendations there.
Hell yeah.
I still haven't seen We're All Going to the World's Fair, so I'll have to check that out.
That's lovely.
Well,
it's
before
not
we
lovely,
go,
but...
Oh, sorry.
No, I was saying it's not a lovely film. It's very dark and depressing, but it's good.
Okay, yeah. I'll check it out, whether it's lovely or not.
Hell yeah.
It can be inherently unlovely, and I'll still love it. You know?
Hell yeah.
I really also, by the way, speaking of horror, that is kind of lower end. Lower budget. I want to see Skinamarink. I've been hearing a lot of good shit about it, and the director is pretty funny on Twitter. So
yeah.
I'm intrigued.
Same. Maybe we can see it together in a theater, like it was meant to be seen.
Oh, I would love, except also I'd be so scared.
Right?
Yeah. I don't know if I can handle it, but I'll try. I'll try for you, baby.
Nice.
Before we go, I guess it would be good to mention that we have a trivia episode out on our YouTube channel, which it is part 1. So there's more trivia night to come. And if we make any references to things that didn't happen this year, no, we didn't.
Mm-hmm. No, we didn't.
No, we didn't. We recorded that last week. I don't know what you're talking about. And we also have a video essay coming at some point to the channel.
Should be out next week.
Ooh, you hear that? Whenever this comes out, it will be the next week. So if you hear that we said it was coming out next week when we recorded this, no, we didn't. We meant when this episode comes out. So
exactly. We're gaslighting our listeners.
Yes, I love it. Well, I haven't been Isaac.
And I have not been Casey.
And this is certainly not Mind Over Movies. Play something else, not the outro.
Not the outro. We certainly won't see you next week either.
This has always been the outro, by the way. This new music that you're hearing, it's always been the outro. Wait, why did I say new music for?